What if I told you I've got a movie for you where Russell Crowe plays as a priest where it gets demon possessed throughout the movie? And you'll probably tell me, Lee, that movie already exists. That's the Prost Exorcist that came out in 2023. Wrong. This is called The Exorcism. Same thing, Russell Crowe plays as a priest and there's demon possession. And we're going to dive into that movie right now.
Welcome to the Light, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights Camera Rant, where this particular solo review, we're going to be looking at The Exorcism. So I would like to thank you very much for Studio Canal for giving me the tickets to go see this movie. This was very interesting to say the least, because when I first saw the poster and when I first saw the synopsis, I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, this is a sequel to the 2023 film that came out not too long ago, until I realized these films are completely different. And I don't know what Russell Crowe was doing. I was like, oh, yeah, as a priest? Sure. Oh, another movie as a priest? Sure. As a father of a guy that has beast powers? Sure, which I'm talking about Kraven the Hunter. Just ticking off the list as he goes. So this film is about Russell Crowe character's Tony, who's a struggling actor who's just come back from having rehab, alcohol abuse. He has a struggling relationship with his daughter, and he finally gets this big role to get right back on track. However, this big role is essentially a movie inside a movie where it's playing on the history of what happened with the infamous movie The Exorcist, where as they were shooting the movie, things went wrong, people died, horrible things happened, and there's a whole list of movies between The Dark Knight, The Exorcist, The Poltergeist, of horrible things that just happened again and again. Very creepy, very spooky. So the film is about recreating this. And how this movie introduces you into all this is that we get a actor who's going through all the scenes. He's all fine. He's like, yep, I've got this. And then 2 seconds later, dies very quickly. And in this film, there's only 3 deaths. And now you get 1 out of the park, and there's 2 later on. So there's literally only 3 deaths in this movie. So he does get the role. We get introduced to, during this time when he's also reading, Russell Crowe's character's reading the script, Tony. We also meet his daughter Lee, who, she gets expelled from school. Suspension, due to what she was doing. And she has that, she loves her dad, but she's not calling him dad. She's calling him Tony because of what's happened. Because he was once the pinnacle of Hollywood, like a Tom Cruise or somebody. And however, due to his wife unfortunately passing away due to cancer, drugs, alcohol, straight down to a mess and trying to get back out of it. Now, as he's trying to get back into this, he gets this role. He auditions for it, struggles a little bit with struggling to get the role, but because of his star, because of his preference, he does get the role. And then we have this massive cast party with everybody, which we get introduced to Sam Worthing's character, another priest on the set that's going to help him. We also get introduced to Father Connor, who's played by David Hyde Price, which as soon as I saw it, I was like, Niles! It's freaking Niles! And the funny thing is, in this movie, he does mention the fact he has a psychology degree, and I was like, I see what you did there. Because it's interesting the fact that Niles came back for, Niles is doing this, but he didn't want to come back for Frasier. So, interesting to see what he's been up to. But as soon as I saw him, I was like, I know who you are. So, as this movie progresses, Tony's trying to struggle with the role. Things start going wrong on set between demon possession, lights going out, sets collapsing. Still no other death, but that's all happening at the moment. Lee discovers Tony muttering to himself. He starts getting these black masks on his body, and it starts looking a bit rough. She finds him in the shower. She finds him in different places. It starts all getting a bit of a mess. because his daughter is able to be on set for this whole film to help the cast and crew, which we get into Blake. Chloe Bailey's playing that character, who's a musician star who is also starring in this film. They get very close, a lot closer than I expected. I must admit, for the way I was watching the film, I was like, oh yeah, they're just, they're going to be the two female leads for the movie, and like, yeah, they're going to, beat the demon, which is going to be Tony, and I'm like, oh, they got a little bit closer than I expected for the film, but okay, I'm all for it. And as they get close, things keep going wrong on set, and then eventually Tony gets fired because of what's happening, which is unfortunately the part where Sam Worthington's character bites the dust. He's the second death you find. He bites the dust very quickly after that happens. And it's funny when I watch this because I'm like, Sam Worthington, he's a great actor. He's really good. And I think to myself, I'm like, a year and a half ago, you were in Avatar 2, when you were one of the biggest films of the Christmas holidays. And then this is the next thing I see you in. I'm like, nah, you should be doing bigger things, man, in this film. I just wasn't expecting him to see it, but yeah, about halfway through, he bites the dust. So as we keep going, Lee and Blake go to Father Connor for help, because Father Connor listens to a tape, listens to what Tony's muttering to himself as a demon, and realizes something's got to be done, which gets very creepy on set, and more things keep going wrong and get creepy. Now, as this film goes towards its ending, it's on the set where Russel Crowe's character is with Tony, with Father Connor, Blake, Lee all together, and as they're going into this. In this final scene, Lee's really trying to say, no, I want to be my father. I want to do this. I love him, and then the demon swaps bodies with Tony and Father Connor, which was Father Connor's idea, silly idea. Which is again, Tony finally gets the courage up and says, "Nah, I'm gonna help," and beats demon with the cross. On Father Connor, who goes into flames and is gone. All is just like that, and then they all live happily ever after. And so, after the events of everything that happened, we're very closer than we would ever be together. Now, look, that was a short version of a quick summary of the film altogether. Now, I've watched a lot of horror movies lately, and this just one seemed to me to miss a little beat. Like, the premise of the film, the whole idea is fantastic. It is very, very much based on what happens in true, has happened in true life. As I mentioned, on multiple movies. However, it just seemed like this is a situation where the meat, everything, the synopsis, the plan is fantastic. This is the way we're going to go. But the execution doesn't match. There's a couple of jump scares in this, but nothing too frightening. Nothing compared The Imaginary, nothing compared to The Exorcist, The Believer, nothing compared to Baghead. And I'm saying that's something to me to Baghead. Baghead was creepier and scarier than this film altogether. It just seemed, I don't know, it seemed like, you open up okay, these are all the things that you need in a horror movie. These are all the beats. You stand type of script, and then they put the plot over that. But don't get me wrong, like, the sets were fantastic. The atmosphere was great. The acting was good as well. Everything was there. Like, everything for the perfect recipe. Bloody hell, you got Russell Crowe, in it. And he does a great job, but it just didn't have the bite. It didn't have the fear into it. Like, the set that you have on set, like, yes, it was 3 deaths, but nothing too bloody, nothing too scary, and it's nothing. This is definitely not something I was like, oh, you know what? Like the Pope's Exit last year with Russell Crowe, that was scarier than what this was. And I'm not saying that, actually, I don't know why. I actually am saying that if you're going to make a horror film, there is a level of horror that you need to have. in whatever subcategory you go to, between from Saw to Scream to the Paranormal Activity. There's different levels of horror, but this just didn't seem to, have the bite, have the, really to go, shit, like nothing. If you're a long time horror fanatic, I don't think you will like this film. If you're a casual viewer fan of horror jumping in and out, you will like this film. This will be something up more your alley. But if you're a dedicated horror fan, I think you're going to probably put this in the, I'm not going to watch this again, or I'm going to put this in a different, I'm going to put this in a different category together. Like, don't worry, the meat of the movie is good. It just didn't have that final punch that you expect from a horror film with this type of premise, and it was just the execution of it. It just didn't hit the mark for me. Like, when I got to the film, when I got to the end of the film, I was just a bit like, oh, okay. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm not, horror isn't my first genre I go to, but I can tell you exactly what's from a great horror film to a shitty horror film. This is more on the back end scale, not on the front scale. I'm not saying it's shitty. It's still got the meat. It's still good. It's still got all that. But to take it, it just doesn't have it to go a little bit further. But I'm very curious to know, for any long-time horror fans, what would you think of the film? Did you love it? You hate it? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, from just a little, we also got a little backstory of Tony, why he doesn't like priests, you allude to something bad's happened. We get that briefly, which is semi not explained. Well, yeah, it is explained, but not fully in depth. It just seemed a bit of a concoction put all together, but not. Yeah, you didn't get the boom. You didn't get the big thing for it. Like, oh, this is horrifying. Oh, this could really happen in real life. It semi has, but this isn't a film I go, this needs a sequel to it. I think Russell Crowe needs to stop playing priests from now on, give it a little bit of a break. But the film doesn't go for too long. It's it's bite size. It's definitely longer than the Sydney Sweeney horror film from earlier this year, which was very, very short, like 70 minutes or something like that. I know it says an hour, but that's just awfully short. But look, it's it's a film that if you're looking for something on Saturday night and you're not looking for something too scary, this is the film I definitely recommend to go pick up. I'm very curious to know how this will go at the box office. Don't know how well it will go, but at the same time, trust me, if the bar is Don't Look Up, it's still very, very far away from Don't Look Up. But it's still very far away from The Exorcist Believer or Five Nights at Freddy's. So it's roughly about there. But look, again, let me know what you think in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Where would you stack this up with another horror flick? Or you're excited to see Russell Crowe again in another priest outfit? And whatever you like, but I'll let you know. But look, thank you very much for tuning in for this episode. And until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.